Welcome to the Bridge of Two podcast. Nice, yeah.
I'm in rare form tonight. I didn't work out, so I have a lot of energy.
There you go. Well, welcome back to the Bridge of Two podcast.
Welcome.
This is the podcast where we bridge the sci-fi and fantasy realms we love into a nerdcast of epic proportions.
Getting fancy. Anyway, how's it going? How's your day been?
Not as good as yours, apparently.
Apologies. I had a day, so.
This is great. Should I talk? What about you? Or what were you going to say?
It's just been a day.
Right. Same here.
Another day.
Another day in paradise.
Yes. Good day. It's been a good day. No. What have you been up to? It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Anything new or interesting?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
First stuff. Yeah, okay, cool. I mean, I guess we'll move on.
No, so I mean I've been playing Breath of the Wild still. I did oh, did I get the whole map yet? I think there's one little corner I still haven't gotten of the map.
Mm-hmm.
Like you, for those who don't know, you in Breath of the Wild, the map is completely blank. You have to go to these towers and you activate a tower, and then it gives you a section of the map that tower is in. And there's like 10 or more, something like that. And it's a pretty big map. And so I got like most of it, and then I saw there was like one little corner, and I was like, I had just there's these four divine beasts that you're trying to turn back on to your side so that they can help you against the main bad guy. If you've ever played Zelda, it's Ganon. It's always Ganon.
Mm-hmm. Always.
It will always be Ganon.
It'll always be Ganon.
There's probably some really amazing like theory videos out there. Legend of Zelda is like gotta be some kind of commentary on inevitability of time, or it's almost like a Wheel of Time thing, right? Where there's always,
I think there is.
Like,
I think it is
a Link. There's always a Zelda. There's always a Ganon, but they're not all the same. I don't think.
I think that's literally like a thing. I think I've watched a video because like I
did a while back.
Yeah, as far as I know,
more games since then.
As far as I know, like all the games kind of like connect, but like there's like a weird like
there's like some of them
like time travel thing going on as well.
So some of them are the same links. Some of them are not. Like a Wind Waker is not the same Link. It's like a legend about Link. Anyway, it's always Ganon. Ganon's the bad guy. You're trying to beat Ganon. You need these four beasts. I got the fourth one on my team. Mm-hmm. So then I was like, I kind of want to go get the Hyrule Palace and try to find Ganon and just see what that fight's going to be like. So I did that. I've done that, and that's been fun and interesting. And yeah, it's just a really good game. Really good Zelda.
Good.
Definitely one of the top ones of all time, if not the top one. But so I've been doing that as far as gaming. Oh, I saw the first episode of Book of Boba Fett.
I've seen the episode. Yes, I've seen the first one.
We're caught up to the first episode. I think
it's only just ending in like a week.
Did the seventh episode just come out?
I don't know. I think the sixth one came out.
There's apparently
about to come out.
Apparently, it gets really like crazy.
Oh, that's what I heard. Oh, I heard when it gets crazy.
That's why
Boba Fett's not even really in it anymore.
Oh, really?
Like I heard that like he's I was talking to someone at church the other day, and they said
well, I know
because they asked me what I thought, and I was like, I haven't watched it yet.
I know that the Mandalorian is in the later like episode 5 or something, and I saw some like clips from it, and I was like, oh, I really want to watch that.
Yeah, so I've seen clips. I've seen mine like memes or whatever from other stuff that goes on, as well as a character they brought back in the first time in live action.
Oh yeah, I saw a picture of him. I think blue face.
Yeah, Cad Bane.
Yeah.
So
they're doing so much, and
yeah.
I think a certain Jedi is also making a reappearance as well.
Jedi.
Well, spoilers ahead, or I'll just edit this out. Luke Skywalker.
Oh yeah, him and Ahsoka are in it.
Ahsoka's in it?
Yeah, they're talking to each other. She says, I'm pretty sure she says, that's the meme I've been seeing. She says a line, you're so much like your father, or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
That right there's what made me want to go watch it. Because Grogu's in it. There's like a flashback scene of Grogu in Order 66, I'm almost certain. Like, I'm not even joking. Unless these are all deepfakes that people are making.
They took all the things that everyone was talking about after season 2 of The Mandalorian, apparently, and they're doing them.
But they're like, let's do it in Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, I was like, forget Boba Fett. But I kind of don't care. I'm kind of like...
I heard they kind of...
I'll just go watch it. And
I heard Boba Fett was they made him kind of a baby in this anyway.
Kind of a what?
Not like the BA bounty hunter that we know.
Yeah, I kind of have a weird feeling, weird vibe from him. I mean, I liked the first episode. It was really cool to see. Like, I got kind of chills seeing him in the Sarlacc pit. Like, it literally starts. He's in the belly of a Sarlacc creature, and there's a stormtrooper in there, and he has to like grab the things, like the oxygen, like plug it in. I mean, that was a really cool callback, and then just seeing his journey, like with the Tusken Raiders and the Jawas and all that. That was all really cool. But then when he's, kind of like trying to get his crime
syndicate
thing going, it just came off weird.
Yeah, it comes off like he just doesn't know what he's doing.
It's like, right.
And it's like I guess that's kind of fair because he never ran a syndicate, but like that's not the same.
He was around it his whole life.
He also isn't the same Boba Fett that we see in like episode 6. And I know he's not in it for or 5 and 6. Right. I know he's not in it for a long period of time, but he is that stoic, like, I'm gonna kick your butt character. Yeah. And this, he's like, I'm pretty sure that for even that first episode, he kind of gets his butt handed to him. Like Fennec Shand is one that kind of...
He just like put himself in a really, like, it was just kind of like, what did you think was going to happen?
True. But you even see him in like The Mandalorian, he's kicking butt, that scene when he first shows up. True. But then like...
You're right.
Now he's like, I don't know, it's just weird.
They kind of like knocked him down a little bit.
Yeah, but I don't know. Either way, I think they're going to use Mandalorian to branch out all the other shows they got going on. Right.
Well, and it's as far in in defense of Book of Boba Fett, I have only seen the first episode, so I'm going to kind of sometimes whenever you come full circle on a show, you get to the end, it kind of makes you feel a little different about it. So maybe the end of where the show ends maybe will make it feel a little more satisfying and set it up. I kind of wonder though if this is going to be a one-time thing or if they're planning on doing another Boba Fett season.
I don't know. We'll see.
They don't necessarily need to. They could just use Boba Fett in...
It depends on what they're just wanting to do with them.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how they end the show, because,
I guess it also depends on the reception, too.
Right.
Of how people specifically view Boba Fett. But, I don't know. I'm going to watch it. I plan on watching it here pretty soon, actually. I have them all downloaded on my iPad now to watch them while I'm at work. Probably or something, instead of doing homework like I'm supposed to.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good first episode overall, though, and I'm definitely excited to see this stuff later in the show. It turns into Mandalorian season 3, so that's cool. There was before I go on to this next thing, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that I had. I started a book series. I don't have much to say about it yet, but I started a book series that a friend of mine is a big fan of. And it's by Michael J. Sullivan. He's written a lot of fantasy books, not like very mainstream, well known, but as far as like people who read a lot of fantasy, a lot of people have heard.
He's got a few books that I've wanted to read. I've seen and have on my list to like read. Yeah, is it the ones you got for Christmas?
Yes. Yep. And I started the book 1 of that series, which is called Theft of Swords, and.
Are there some swords that are being thefted?
I think there's going to be. I have a strong suspicion.
That's called foreshadowing, people.
I definitely I think the first chapter. I don't remember if it was called if it called itself a prologue or not, but it got me kind of hooked on the two main characters.
Okay, cool.
Just like a funny interchange between these two characters, and they're like these people that are trying to rob them on the road. Like they're down from a part of the country they're not normally in, and someone's trying to rob them. And then the people kind of realize that there's like, they're outnumbered, but they kind of realize like, maybe we shouldn't mess with these people. You know, it's just a really funny scene. But yeah, so yeah, I'm going to try to get into that book.
I'll be curious to know what you think of it.
Yeah. A non-Brandon Sanderson. It's been a while since I've read.
It's weird when you kind of start going off to the other books again.
Right. It's like, oh, other things are good?
It's like, there are other books?
It's like, wait a second, where's Hoyd?
You just gotta imagine there's a character named called Hoyd in every book.
Where's the perpendicularity? How do we get into the cognitive realm?
How does this fit into the cosmos?
Yeah. But Brandon, at the next Q&A, how does this book fit into the Cosmere? How does every book fit into the Cosmere?
When does Harry Potter show up in Stormlight?
Yeah.
On Roshan.
Where are you? When are you gonna?
Where is
reveal?
Anakin?
That should be Brandon Sanderson's goal in life.
Just branch every book
is
together.
To just consume all franchises and envelop them into the Cosmere.
Imagine that's how the series ended if like it was like such an open-ended thing, but like it was left basically left unsaid that like the Cosmere just envelops everything.
Mario takes up all 16 shards at the end. Mario is ad nauseum. You heard it here first.
Oh, Sora would do a better job. Sora's got such a kind heart.
I don't know. Maybe you're right. Yeah, Mario is not a good big brother to Luigi.
Mario's just a plumber. What kind of...
Just a plumber?
He's a plumber who can jump.
Sorry to our plumber listeners for that derogatory comment.
No, most you plumbers are probably better than Mario. At least you don't lose a princess every 5 minutes.
That's true.
Or do you? In which case, you should probably get that checked out.
Get that checked out. Go to the doctor for that.
Go to a video game designer. That's your doctor.
Oh, this podcast is.
I love Mario games.
Good.
By the way. I do enjoy the Mario games. By the way, that's not a knock against Mario. I do like those games.
Oh yeah.
For the most
part, they're good. Lots of jumping. If you're a fan of jumping,
lots of jumping. There's lots of jumping.
If you're looking for jumping in a game, look no further. Anyway, I'll stop derailing us. But
absolutely not.
So the last thing that I'm really excited about, and is the Rings of Power, as the Lord of the Rings show has been announced to be called, which I think is a awesome name. Makes me very excited. They released 23 pictures that were kind of like character teasers. So it's like you get the kind of like the gut shot and the hands in front. So you can see like the clothing they're wearing. You can see their hands,
their sword if they're holding
a sword, if they're holding something, if they're wearing rings. You can see all that, and then you can just wonder, what is this? Who is this?
Do you know who all of them are?
I don't, but I did look up some of people's ideas and heard some things too that kind of confirmed some things as well. I heard a rumor that the Narsil, which was the sword that cut the ring from Sauron's hand, is in one of the pictures. Like one of the swords is Narsil, is what I heard. Which none of them look like the Lord of the Rings version of that. So I don't know which one it would be. And there's not a lot that, like, there's a sword that looks very evil, and it's in a dark gauntleted hand that to me looks like Sauron or some villainous type person.
Yes.
So I don't think that's Narsil. Then there's a broken sword, but that can't be Narsil either. For one thing, it looks like it's like a bad guy's sword. Like, it reminds me of like a ring wraith sword, but it's broken. And that can't be Narsil either because this is taking place before. This is taking place like before. It's probably going to start before anyone even knows the One Ring exists.
Yes.
Because when the Rings of Power were first given out, they were given out by Sauron under a beautiful form, like he looked like a handsome elf, and he was known as Anatar, and he was giving them out as gifts to people, all these different races and everything, and then only after that did he go back and make the One Ring and to bind all the others to it. And so this is going to start off before that. So like Narsil's not going to, Narsil's not going to be broken yet. The only one I could think of, because there's another one that has like a sword, like has a horse on the pommel, which makes me think of Rohan, obviously.
Yes.
Which Rohan I don't think was officially around yet, but they're like ancient ancestors were, so we may see some of that with that. But then also there's one more that has a sword that has like a sun.
Castle. Oh, I see one with like a castle on it.
That I think looks like a scepter, maybe like a ruling scepter or something. But then there's one that has like a sun on it.
Sun on it, yes.
And there's like a sun on the person's armor, but that isn't. I
don't think any of these.
So that might have just been a rumor.
Yeah, none of these seem to fit Narsil.
But there is like a dwarven queen. Like, do you see the hands that have like the gold on them? The gold paint.
Is that a female?
That's like a female dwarf apparently. That's a queen.
She has a beard.
There's a beard?
Yeah, this is.
I didn't notice that when I looked at it before.
That definitely looks like hair.
Oh no! That's not the woman. I think that's a man. Yeah, that's definitely a dwarf. You know, he got the hammer with the dwarven runes and stuff. There's one that's like like the person's wearing like I think gold clothes or something, and they've got like gold paint on their hands.
Yes, I do see now.
I think that's so yeah. There's definitely some dwarves in there. There's some hobbits because there's some hands that are holding like huge acorns. Mm-hmm. So that's probably a hobbit.
Who's holding the apple?
I don't know. It has someone with the beard. There's like you can see like the bottom of a little bit of like a scraggly beard. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with the wizards in this show. So I don't know if they're going to make them look like old men or, well, I guess they would because when they came, they took the form of old men when they came to Middle Earth. So anyway.
All just the speculation.
Oh, but they dropped a thing today, I think. A little thing that said the trailer will arrive precisely when it means to, or something like that.
The Rings of Power data reveals trailer date.
And it had Elvish underneath it, and they translated it, and it's the February 13th, Super Bowl day.
Teaser trailer arrives followed by a section in text in Elvish. Numerous Middle Earth experts have already deduced text.
Middle Earth experts.
Roughly translate to Super Bowl Sunday, which is February 13th. So what you're saying is when we're on Super Bowl Sunday, we're gonna be sitting there and this is gonna come on me and you're just gonna immediately shut everyone up in the house.
Exactly. I'm gonna scream my head off.
Oh my god! Apologies if you guys hear any of this cough or clearing up my throat.
Yeah,
I'm still kind of getting over a little bit of sickness, so I'm giving Josh the COVIDs.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Again.
I already had it.
Yeah, I'm giving it to you again.
I conquered it. Anyway. Yeah, so that's just fun. Those are fun little teasers for it. I'm sort of getting hype on it, and I'm like I'm probably letting my optimism get to like dangerously high on it.
How dare you let your optimism get to high?
I just
don't you know better?
It has so much potential, you know, the idea of like following, because having it be called the Rings of Power makes me think it's going to follow not just like the Elven Rings of Power, but the Dwarvish Rings of Power, the 9 Rings of Power given to men. Like, I just think that's a very interesting way to structure the story, to kind of like follow these characters that have the Rings of Power, and you know. So I hope they do a good job with it. I hope it's honors the spirit of Tolkien and all that. We'll see.
I'm excited. I'm trying. I don't know.
September.
I'm like, I guess I am excited, but I'm also like, I don't know. Especially after the Wheel of Time show,
Yeah.
I'm not like as.
Yeah,
hyped.
that definitely concerns me. It is not the same people that made Wheel of Time though. So
Yeah,
but it is
television in
Amazon.
general nowadays though. It's just.
I know.
But we'll see how it goes. That's why I read all the time or play
Just
games.
hoping that because it's Tolkien, maybe, and because of the Lord of the Rings,
I hope.
because of like Peter Jackson, how he did Lord of the Rings was so popular.
I hope they stick to the Peter
You know.
Jackson type of formula to an extent.
Just like that just keeps the appeal. That just keeps your audience big. You know, I mean, when you put the kind of things they put in the Wheel of Time show in there, you shrink your audience. You know, and they made it. And I haven't read all the books or whatever, but it seems like they made it just darker. You know, maybe a little more graphically violent. You know,
in Wheel of Time?
yeah, just from what I saw.
I mean, the books are pretty dark. But I also never finished the series. I haven't finished the show yet, so.
Yeah, the show. Oh yeah, that's true. Me either.
I haven't finished the show yet.
Spoiler.
So I want to watch. I need to finish it, but.
Yeah.
I was talking to Caleb about that the other day, actually.
Yeah.
He said, he was like, I would at least finish the first, he finished it. He's like, I would at least finish the first season. He's like, but his view is, I'm going to give the next season
Right.
two.
They could
I'm gonna give it 2 episodes. If they don't kind of get their crap fixed, if it doesn't get their crap fixed, I'm probably not going to stick with it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do want to finish the first season. You know, just to kind of give them the opportunity to, you know, see where they're going with it.
I was originally watching with my wife too, but I don't think she cares to watch
Yeah,
it, so I'll
same
probably
here.
just end up watching it. The same with Book of Boba Fett. Like I was gonna watch that with Steph, but I think I was gonna watch it alone.
Well, anyway, so what have you been up to?
Same old, same old.
Drinking potassium.
Drinking all the potassiums. I don't know. Was it last episode that I finished Kingdom Hearts? Or did I?
You said you claimed to have beaten all the games. However,
Except for the Remind trailer. Or DLC.
However, our research has shown that is proven false.
Which one have I not beaten?
Melody of Memory, my friend.
Oh, whatever. I forgot about that one, actually.
You haven't played through the depth of Kyrie's
Oh my gosh.
melodious memories.
Yes, Kyrie's melodious memories. Maybe I do need to play it. I can't even say the mainline games because they're not main. None of them are mainline.
They're all
at this
mainline.
point.
They're all mainline.
Even Melody of Memories, I'm pretty sure is mainline.
You will not understand the next game if you don't play it.
Anyway, I've been playing Kingdom Hearts 3 as well.
Oh yeah,
I've been replaying
again?
it. It's been a while. I beat that like within a week of it coming out, 2 weeks of it coming out.
Oh yeah, you played through it pretty quick, I think.
Because I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
So I'm replaying it now. Then I'll play the Remind DLC or whatever it is. Is it Remind? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's Remind. Yeah. Have you noticed anything as you've been playing it? Anything different? Anything jump out at you?
Not really. Is it something supposed to, or is that just a question?
No, just
it's
a
just
good co-host.
It's just fun. It's just fun. I just enjoy the gameplay. I really like the gameplay of Kingdom Hearts 3.
I agree. I think that is like one of the strongest things about Kingdom Hearts 3 is the gameplay.
Although, and I remember this when the game first came out, and I still to this day feel the same way. I don't like the inclusion of the gummy phone.
I don't either.
It's just such a weird thing. It's just like the game came at the time where like taking pictures in game was such a big thing. Like taking the photo modes in video games was such a big thing. So they had to I feel like they had to find a way to do that.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't fit for me.
They could have done it though without. It didn't have to be like an in-world explanation for it.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
They could have just had a photo mode.
But it is what it is.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take away that much from the game.
No.
Other than that, though, I've actually really been playing. I've been on like a big nostalgia trip past couple of weeks. So I've been playing a lot of Ratchet and Clank, Crash Bandicoot, the old Jack and Daxter precursor Legacy, the first game. Playing that for the first time because I actually never played that as a kid.
Yeah.
And they're all fun. It's just fun to play. It's just fun to plug in my headphones, watch a video, and just not worry about an extremely story-driven game.
Yeah.
Although I do want to, it's been a while since I've been lost in a game, so maybe we need to find one. I know. Anyway, I do know Lost Ark is coming out tomorrow, or like the pre-release. If you got like one of the packs, which my brother got me a pack for my birthday, that's coming out tomorrow.
Lost Ark.
New MMO action RPG coming out that was like out in like Japan for the longest time, but it's like super popular. But they're releasing it here now, and it looks. I haven't played it. My brother said it's super fun. Shout out to Juwu.
Shout out to Juwu.
Says it's really fun. It looks fun. It looks like you know your Diablo games. Do you know the Diablo games?
I've never played them. I know,
but you know like of them. It's supposed to be like that type of game, like an action RPG like that. But this is an MMO, so you can play it online with friends, and it's going to be
free to play.
It's free to play when it releases.
You got to find the Ark because it's lost.
Apparently,
huh?
So that's more foreshadowing for you. So I'll check that out. I'll play that with my brother.
I might check it out too.
It looks like a lot of fun. I don't know when it releases. I think it releases like in like a week. Like the early release or whatever is tomorrow for the people who bought any of the packs or whatever. Which, like I said, Josh got me one for my birthday,
February 11th.
Okay, so a couple of days, so like 3 days. Cool. Yeah, you should play it. We should try and play together. New World is just nothing at this point.
Really?
I have zero desire to play. Even Caleb's like, I have zero desire to play it.
Is it because of the game? Like because of it's broken? Or
no, it's just not a lot of content, I think. And they just don't. I don't know exactly what they're doing. Maybe I'll go back to one point. I just don't have the time either with school. Yeah. But
they kind of making it. It seems. I wonder if making it kind of a grind, like to do certain things and to get to the end of this game.
Oh, I think that's the biggest thing is the grind was
like
actually
once you grind. You're like,
well, the grind's actually fun,
right?
But once you get, but they didn't. I think the issue, not necessarily me because I haven't gotten to the end yet, but like for like my brother and Caleb, there isn't much end game right now.
Yeah,
and the end game that there is, like the PvP, is not like very functional. It doesn't work super well.
Right. So it's like you get there and it's like not much there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just haven't had the time, and then I just don't care to, I wanted to play because Josh and other friends were playing it, but now there's no one really playing it. So
they'll probably just come out with like an expansion or something like that to kind of.
Speaking of expansions, though, it does come out in like a week, right?
SWTOR.
The SWTOR expansion.
I was like searching for the yeah.
So I'll plan on giving that a look at. Looksies.
Yeah. Is that like a Sith expansion too? Is it like a Sith
I think it's
story?
restarting the war because like the war got like paused in the game for a little bit because of other factions going on.
Restart the war.
But they're basically restarting the main war.
I'm restarting this war right now.
Sounds sassy.
Sassy but menacing.
Other than that, I haven't been reading much. I need to finish the Wheel of Time book, the book I'm on, book 5 or 6. I can't remember.
You're pretty close, right?
I'm got like 200 pages left, which is close for Wheel of Time.
And for you.
Yeah. I just need to sit down and read it. I just haven't. Because, well, really a big part of it is because my newest interest as of late, which is animation, just went full dive into animation, and I'm learning and bought stuff, and I'm trying to figure it all out. And so that's taking up a lot of my time, watching a lot of videos on it. So I haven't played as many video like that's probably why I haven't gotten lost in a video game actually, or like any big ones. Just because like if I do play, I play like Crash for like 10 minutes, get angry at the game, and then go read about animation.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
So that's kind of where my mind is focused on right now, and trying to get that. I don't know. I think it'd be cool to do animation, and even possibly like in the future get like a job doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
If,
definitely.
God forbid, like the paramedic stuff doesn't work out.
Well, there's so much. Yeah, there's so much. Economy in our country is very entertainment driven. A lot of it is, and so I think the demand for animators and all that's just going to grow. And then on top of that, you have ways for people to get to have an audience and to kind of have a reach with far less resources, whether it's an independent thing or it's a small team that are like kickstarting something or have a Patreon or whatever, or even like a one person thing, and so. But
yeah, there's definitely, especially in this day, it's like digital animation.
Shoot
like
for the stars.
Yeah,
reach
for the heavens, and you'll land. I don't know.
Whatever.
I actually didn't even remember what I was what it was. Shout out to you. So that's been really fun. I've been delving into the animator survival kit. Pretty sure the name of the book is written by I cannot remember his name, and I don't feel like getting up to go look at the book. But
it's 10 feet away.
I know, but it's a lot of work. He's the guy who he was the lead animator on Who Framed Roger Rabbit, though.
Right.
It's interesting stuff. It's I don't know, animations. I didn't realize how I have a whole new appreciation for like anime and just animation in general, because a lot to make it look good, even like the old Disney movies, like to make it look good and believable and realistic and like it's actually moving takes so much work.
Yeah,
it is insane.
Yeah, it is crazy. Like I like to think of like an hour long, or more movie. What they were doing, drawing every frame.
Well, they were doing like 24 frames a second, and some people were doing like a drawing every frame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
which is bonkers, if you ask me. Even though I'm gonna try and do it, but
embrace the bonkers.
Other than that, though, not much else has been going on. Just chilling. I started the Legends of Vox Machina the animated show came out. It's good. I was talking with Caleb about it yesterday. It's good. It's very enjoyable. It's just very crass. And I don't mind cussing here or there or whatever. Like Arcane had some cussing, and Arcane even had like not nudity, but like hints of nudity in it. But it was done in such a different way where like it wasn't like, I don't know. I feel like the Legends of Vox Machina, they're kind of like the cussing. It just seems like it's every other word, and they're kind of almost forcing it. Yeah, and it's because it's partly a comedy as well. I don't know. It just doesn't fit. It doesn't bother me as much, but like Stephanie hates it. Like she doesn't want me to watch it because of how bad it is. Well, she was sitting there watching Arcane with me, but that has cussing in it and whatever. But this is just different. Yeah. So that's a little annoying, but the story's good. Their first arc they're doing through the show is one of their better arcs. It's the one it's from their first campaign with Vox Machina, but it's the one that I'm currently listening to. The Briarwoods, it's really good. Yeah. So I'm excited to continue to watch it, and I think it's finally a show too that's gonna have like 20 some episodes in it. Yeah. Instead of every other show nowadays where it's like 6 episodes then done. That is the most infuriating thing in the world.
Hey,
by the way,
animation is hard, Jeremiah.
I'm not even talking about animation. Live action shows are 6 and done.
Hey.
At least like Arcane was 45-minute episodes. Yeah. But I don't know. It's all right. It's pretty good. The animation's cool. I like it. It's good. It's just I wouldn't recommend it to people who just don't like a lot of language. And there is some. The first episode had some nudity in it, and that's it so far. But it's just it's a crash show. Yeah. And it's just weird because I listen to their podcast. They don't seem that crass. Right. They cuss a bit, but they seem to do it in a little bit. It's just not. It doesn't seem as forced when they do it. And right. I don't know. Yeah. It's 100% not something I would watch around kids. Yeah. It is very graphic, but I obviously don't care about that.
The violence, yeah.
I see graphic stuff every day, so. But yeah, it's just annoying a little bit. Yeah. But other than that, gosh, my podcast is my favorite D&D podcast, though, not another D&D podcast. Yeah. They're about to start campaign 3, I think this week. I think the 10th, Thursday. Nice. They're releasing the first episode of campaign 3, and I am so hype. Because I love their stuff, man. Yeah. They do. And they're also crass, but they're crass and they're also just not like, it doesn't seem forced. They're comedians. Right. So it's just done in a different way. Mm-hmm. But I enjoy their podcast a lot, so I'm excited for that. Cool. Other than that, though, nothing else. I don't know if I'm going to start another book once I finish Wheel of Time until I'm done with school. If I do, it's going to be one I've already read. Yeah. I've been debating reading Pendragon. Okay. Again, I don't know if I ever told you about that series, but...
I don't think so. I've never read it.
It's a series I read way back in like middle school. That's when I finished it. But they're easy and they're fun. So I was debating doing that, but I don't know. I do think my next legit series I'm going to read, though, is the Lightbringer series. Okay. Caleb owns it. He brought it up the other day.
Yeah, Caleb's mentioned that series to me a little bit, too.
He brought it to me yesterday. I was trying to think of another book to read.
Is that a more recent series or like...
Mm-hmm. The 4th book came out like last year and a half ago or something like that.
Is that... Yeah, that is a series that isn't the magic system kind of a color magic system?
Deals with color.
Yeah. I think those came out like very close. I think Warbreaker in the first book came out very close.
Probably
together.
I think so.
But anyway.
But other than that, that's it. Be on the lookout for the Jiwoo illustration coming out. Was supposed to release tomorrow. But it's getting pushed to sometime next week, probably.
Okay. Keep your eyes peeled.
So keep your eyes peeled. If you want to find it when it comes out, jcarrickftw is the Instagram. I'm finally putting the Instagram out there. The was personal Instagram, but is now our Instagram. So
J Carrig, CARRIG FTW.
That's it.
Does that stand for the win?
It does. I also realized that after I made it way years ago that it could also mean F the world, which I didn't want it to mean.
Did people actually use that?
I don't know. I have no clue. It just, in my mind...
I always think of for the win.
Good. I'm glad. Because in my mind, I've been... people probably think I'm like
I mean, it just depends
F the world. It's like, no,
Just look at your Instagram. It's like, no, he doesn't look like he's saying F the world. So
I sure hope my Instagram is like that.
It's probably for the win.
Yes, be on the lookout for that. And any other stuff that I'm going to start putting out. Because I want to start doing that more. So
awesome. All right. Well, we are going to take... Should we take a break?
Take a break.
We're going to take a break and grab some delicious coffee.
Delicious coffee.
That you guys picked up in...
North Carolina.
In North Carolina?
I think it was North Carolina, yeah.
So we will be back and we'll share you what our taste buds are feeling.
We'll be back with coffee.
Oh, and when we come back, we're going to talk about world building some more kind of story. Like Magic Systems is kind of world building, so we're going to continue talking about world building.
Like part 2 to Magic Systems episode.
There you go, part 2 to world building. See you soon. Welcome back.
Be a guest. Be a guest.
You whispered it into the mic, and then you upped the ante to start singing it.
Was the mic on when I was whispering it?
No.
Okay, good. Welcome back.
Yeah, we've got coffee. We've got mugs.
What mug you got, Josh?
I have...
As I slam the coffee beans down.
I have... This mug says... Drip-o-later. Drip-o-later. Proudly supporting your coffee habit. Since 1999.
You ever been to the Drip-o-later?
I've never been to the Drip-o-later.
It's a coffee shop in North Carolina, up in Asheville, near Asheville. Somewhere, it's like a little, like another town, but it's near Asheville. Uh-huh. Stephanie knew about it.
It's good?
It's good. We went there and she got that mug. She liked it.
The Drip-o-later sounds like something that you... Is that the name of the coffee place?
It's called the Drip-o-later.
I was going to say that the Drip-o-later sounds like something you get inside.
It does. The Drip-o-later.
Like, enter the Drip-o-later.
I like it.
So yeah, it's got like what? I guess those are coffee beans, maybe.
I don't know. I've never actually.
In mountains.
It's a nice mug.
Yeah, it's very.
It's one of those
nice.
thick, like.
It's a very nice coffee mug.
Yes.
Like it feels like a coffee mug. Looks like a coffee.
Feels like an old fashioned coffee mug.
Yeah.
I am doing the
new fashion,
the trusted Kingdom Hearts heated mug. Yes. That when it heats up, it shows more.
The heat has revealed that Sora is not alone.
Nope. His friends are there.
His friends are his power.
I swear, and Stephanie, if you listen to this, I'm gonna get you to play Kingdom Hearts if it is the last thing that I do. She refuses to play because it's kiddish, but you're gonna play it and you're gonna fall in love with it.
We're all kiddish inside.
Yes. Anyway, we're trying a coffee. The coffee Steph and I got on our vacation. We went up to North Carolina. Mm-hmm. It's from Cooperative Coffee Roasters. I think the name is El Miro. I don't actually know if it has a name.
Let me see.
I'm assuming that's just the name, El Miro.
El Morale.
Anyway, it tastes like toffee, vanilla, and orange creamsicle.
Toffee?
Mm-hmm.
Or coffee?
Toffee.
Wait. There's toffee in this coffee?
There's toffee in this coffee.
Or is there coffee in this toffee?
Good question.
Anyway.
It was roasted on 12/2/21. Or so it says on here.
Whoa.
Anyway, it's good. We're gonna try it. You know, I will full disclosure. I have tried it already. Although when we made it, we didn't make it very strong, so I didn't get like the full
dreamsicle experience.
Full dreamsicle experience.
Yeah.
So
like half of a dreamsicle. It's not the best dream you've ever had. It's not the worst dream you've ever had. Sickle.
Just a lukewarm dreamsicle.
Yeah, just
a regular old normal dream.
Dream
sickle. All right. Let me burn my mouth real quick.
Okay, me too. Blow and sip at the same time. Blow.
Ow. Ooh, that's good. Ooh.
I like it.
That's actually really good. I do have a little bit of creamer in it. Other disclaimer.
I have a little oat milk in it.
But my creamer is just basically adds a little bit more vanilla.
Yeah.
It tastes really good.
Mm-hmm.
It does have a little hint of toffee, actually. Just believe it or not, the toffee is what I'm tasting, not the orange dreamsicle or creamsicle.
I definitely taste the coffee.
I'm sure you do taste the coffee. I hope you taste
like
the coffee. It definitely tastes like coffee.
I think that my taste buds aren't sensitive. Like I can't. I taste and coffee.
You're not a coffee connoisseur like me.
I guess so. I mean, I feel like I get a hint of orange dream.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a hint of orange.
Like it reminds me of an orange dream I had.
See, I get a hint of orange, and I also get a hint of dream, but not together.
The dream.
The dream is separate. The dream is separate from the orange.
It's like the dream on the back end.
Yeah, it's kind of like an orange sickle with a little bit of dream to it.
Right, orange up front.
Orange up front, all dream in the back. New T-shirt.
I think I got more of the dream that time.
It's actually just DMT in this, and we're just gonna start dreaming.
Yeah, we're actually
Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway.
Good coffee. I don't know if you could even. I guess the website, they do have a website. It's called cooperativecoffeeroasters.com. I don't know if you can get coffee from there or not. Steph and I found this at a coffee shop on our trip. Literally, we were going on our way home, or on our way to Savannah. Actually, to finish off the trip.
Right.
And there was a coffee shop by our cabin that we were staying in. Cutest coffee shop ever. But we found it, and I read it, and I was like, "Honey, we're getting this." She's like, "Okay." So
there you go. That's how it works.
Go to your local coffee shop and buy random coffee beans that you find that look good.
That's
kind of
what the lesson is.
It's the lesson here
for this episode, and that's our sponsor. Not really.
I mean, if you want to be,
Cooperative Coffee, just surfing the web for a podcast.
That's
my coffee. They have our coffee.
We should talk to them. Not anymore. Not if we're mocking them.
Like giving them a list for some reason.
Because everyone that's not us has to have a list, obviously.
That's right. It differentiates. He's not doing his own voice right now.
He's doing a character. He's doing a bit.
He must be someone else. All right. Well, should we get to our main topic?
No, I think we should
keep meandering?
I think we should keep meandering. Talking more about cooperative coffee.
I think we should too.
In the lift. That was probably
cooperative coffee.
that was a little bit too accentuated.
That was. I could tell that was you.
I apologize.
So yeah, we wanted to do another episode talking about kind of so we talked about magic systems. That was a lot of fun. We're
yes.
Let's talk about world building. And they're like, well, magic systems is kind of world building. So we kind of want to talk about some of the other elements of world building that we enjoy in stories, and
yes,
and just kind of go over some of them.
Because magic system is a part of world building, but magic system is also in itself a thing. But then then you have world building, which is there's so many different aspects to world building as well.
Yeah. Well, really world building. Just for example, when you're making a magic system, you're thinking about, well, why is this magic system the way it is? Well, sometimes it has to do with the history of the world, which the history is a part of the world building.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it has to do with the environment, maybe the planet. Maybe there's something about the planet or the world or the universe that it's set in that makes that magic work.
Mm-hmm.
So So this all kind of comes under world building, even though they are their own things. So, like, for example, history, the history of the world, the cultures you find in the world, environment or nature you find in the world. So what's a fun one? What do you think's a fun one to start with? Of like just just like a world building kind of thing that impacts, sort of like a world building thing that like impacts the story, you know, because which I guess all world building does, but there's like really fine detail.
There's like the really like minute world building where it's just like, oh, they're in this place, but that's not really any part of the story,
right? Like there's this like, town.
Like what's an example of that?
I mean, like a world building thing in you could say like the Mandalorian. There's in one of the episodes of the Mandalorian, they're on a planet and there's some, because the Empire has fallen, there's like some holdouts. Like the effect of that is there's like some people that are still trying to hold on to the Empire. There's like some equipment that's left over. I think there's some like bad guys that get a hold of like an AT-AT or is that AT-AT the bigger one or the smaller walker?
AT-ST, I'm pretty sure is the smaller one.
AT-ST is what I'm thinking of then. And so that's like a world building aspect. There's an AT-ST because there was like in history there was the Empire was on that planet, and then when they fell, some of their equipment got left behind. But that's not like that affects the story of that episode.
But not of the overarching.
But not like of like the overall.
It's not like
narrative.
Kingdom Hearts, where like in the history of what's going on is that Keyblade world, which is kind of a driving factor of
the Keyblade War.
The Keyblade war, not world.
So,
but at the same time, you know, Sora going to like Beast Castle. That like he's in that world and there is technically world building there and there are things in that world that affect things, but they don't affect the overarching story.
Right.
So that's kind of an interesting thing to talk about too. Is like there could be world building that affects the story than the world building that doesn't affect the story in the sense of like this is just a place that you went to.
Some of it's just kind of like flavor or you know, just kind of like I mean, okay, here's an example. Like in Stormlight. Yes. They have the wines. They have the wines that are, I think, I forget which color. Like certain colors are more strong or stronger wines, and certain colors are lower alcohol content.
Basically, alcohol content.
Right. So, you know, like that's like a thing that's in that world. You know that whenever you are selecting your wines, you select it by the color. You don't select it by the vintage or the brand or whatever. You select it by the color. That's a world building thing, but it doesn't affect the overall story. It kind of goes along with, kind of with color in their society, like light eyes and dark eyes. And
I think world building is a thing that like, world building can be both a big thing or it can be a small thing. Like a story doesn't need, in my opinion, does not need insane world building.
Mm-hmm.
You need a world to be in, obviously, right. And you do need a little bit of whatever going on, but it doesn't need to have this extensive, like, you know, like if you're like, say you're writing a fantasy novel or like a novel about whatever, you don't need to spend the next 4 months writing this extreme elaborate world with all this history and cultures and everything like that. It's cool if you can, you know, Brandon Sanderson does stuff like that. Tolkien is famous for making his own languages, you know?
Yeah.
And that's great. But that's not always needed. Look at Harry Potter. Harry Potter is very much not, you know, there is world building there, but it's kind of left, a lot of it's kind of left to the reader to kind of sparse things out or just figure out. There's magic and there are wizards, but they're not really explained why they're there or whatever.
The history of like every century is not super detailed. They did fan out, like there was a lot more world building when the Fantastic Beasts movie came out, because then they explained, like, you know, they had to answer certain questions, like
and I think a lot of people didn't like that because and I was watching a video on this day where that kind of takes
away a little bit.
It takes away a little bit from the reader, because first the reader did have things of like, oh well, why, you know, like it can be said a lot, like Dumbledore, like in Harry Potter, and Dumbledore is like this great wizard and everything like that, but we're never told why, we're never told everything that he's done. So sometimes it's not like, to the reader, it'd be like, oh, I've imagined him doing this or this. Right. But then when you make a movie about what he did that made him so great, it kind of takes that away, or can. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. There's definitely, speaking, I mean, that's kind of and that can definitely be a world building that it's in itself when you're writing or creating or just enjoying a piece of storytelling. That is an element of world building where there's history in the world that's known, but what is not known, or what they think is they know, but they maybe they have it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The mystery of what the truth of the history of the world is, a lot of times is very interesting,
mm-hmm.
and sometimes more interesting than having it all figured out and knowing it all. And, having like this huge span of time and knowing like, here's 5 big things like we think we know happened. And you don't really know the rest of it, all the little stories and things that happen in that time period. It could be very interesting so that's like kind of, I don't know, just some general ideas about world building, but I thought it'd be fun to just talk about some fun like world building things and stories,
mm-hmm.
maybe.
Ways to portray world building as well. Like instead of just dropping extensive amounts of exposition, what are other ways that the world building could be portrayed? Get what I'm saying?
You mean instead of like explaining the world?
Like, so, so like for me, like I actually am, for the most part, when it's done right, I'm a big fan of exposition. I like it when a super wise character just starts dropping knowledge on me in a book. I like that. That's just me as a person. It has to be done right. I don't like it when it's dull and boring.
Yeah.
But there are other ways to express your world and world building that could probably hit a wider range of audiences, as far as like how the environment is portrayed, or how the different things in the environment, like on Roshar, the storm,
right,
is a part of the world building.
Oh yeah,
but it's portrayed not through exposition. It's kind of just portrayed as this powerful storm that rolls through every so often. But it also is a very big part of the world,
right?
And then you learn more about it, but it's not done through exposition.
Well, right. Well, because for the characters, it wouldn't make sense really for the characters to go into this big kind of mental explanation of what it is. They don't necessarily know. Like, it's a force of nature. It's like someone who experiences like a hurricane or tornado and maybe doesn't understand it, because to them it's just a force of nature. Like that's what the high storms are in Roshar. There are these storms that the high storms are the high storms are these storms that or it's one storm and it moves across the whole continent in the same direction every time.
Mm-hmm.
And so they've literally built, so the way you see how the impact of this on the world is, they'll describe a building. They'll describe how one side of the building is either, intensely fortified because that's the side the storm is going to hit whenever it comes through, or a lot of times the buildings, the towns are all set in locations where there's mountains and other things that are like would be shielding the town from the storm as it comes through, and so the way the towns and where the towns end up in the world are affected by the high storms. The high storms touch other things within world building too, because then if you have this storm that is a very, very brutal storm that happens all, within any kind of repetition, you're going to have people trying to forecast it.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have people who are trying to forecast the storm, to keep track of it. They actually use the storm, and the way they use the weather patterns of that planet are how they define like their the time period,
their calendar.
Their calendar, exactly, yeah. So like they mark their calendars by it,
Yeah, and in this one, I mean, to be like minor, it's not minor in the story, but like this one kind of detail about the environment, the high storm, does so much to impact the story, but as well as kind of express to the reader what kind of world that they're getting into.
Yeah.
Because, when you see the high storm roll through, the high storm is a very dangerous, it's described very dangerous, like people who are left out in it usually die.
Right.
People are left out in it as punishment, and they're expected to die. So you're kind of, when the reader is getting this and seeing this, they're kind of left with an understanding of, okay, this is not just a happy-go-lucky world. There's crazy stuff going on here. Same with just the environment in general, of just like, even the plants hide from the high storm. You know, they're all meant to be able to move and hide when the wind blows and stuff like that. It's not like our world where there's just grass chilling. Like the grass will shoot into spouts and ground. You know, this whole environment is built around this, and it does do a great job. It impacts its story obviously with the stormlight, and with you learn more about the story, or you learn more about the storm as the story goes on. So it has a very big impact, but it also does such a good job of expressing the setting, in a sense, and the tone. Because the Stormlight does have a little bit more of a darker overtone. Uplifting overtone, but also a darker overtone. And it does a good job of, from the very beginning, kind of showing that. And world building, as far as the environment goes, is a great way to do that. And let's stepping away from books for a minute. Like, let's go to video games or to animation or movies, something like that. Like, the way that the environment is set up can express the world building and set the tone as well as the story. Like, when you play a video game, right? Like, let's say, I don't know, like Dark Souls. Let's say play Dark Souls it's got a story, but it's not Dark Souls is a game that does evolve heavily around world building, but in a different way. And not just a straight story giving it to you, but like finding things throughout the world and different objects. The history of these objects explain the world, which explain the story. But when you go into that game, everything is bleak. Most of it's very bleak. The way that the environment is designed is meant to express how the tone is set, as well as how the story is kind of gonna go. You are this undead creature, this undead person that's gonna go, and he's gonna go fight these things, and you're gonna die all the time. Yeah, you know,
kind of foreshadows the bleakness. Kind of foreshadows that, you know, it's not gonna be like an upbeat kind of experience. Yeah.
And like same with like BioShock, when you go down, like the first one, when you go down to this undercity Rapture. And you see everything, the environment, it's very dark for the most part. It has a little bit of a creepy overtone. There's like
50s
era. There's destruction. But there's also mad people, and you can kind of see the madness. And the way you, even just walking through the first level, the first little area, you're already kind of just getting a feel of how the story is going to be because of how the world is set up in a more visual way. I don't know. That's just something I was thinking about today. Probably because I'm getting more into animation, but thinking about how you can do world building in that sense of, instead of just outright saying it, portraying it through visuals, you know, in that medium of animation or video game or comic book even, you know, of like how that world looks can really express how the story is going to kind of be. Or you can even use it as subversion, you know. There are definitely games or shows that have a very bright, probably the funniest to me that I think about as a kid all the time was, you ever heard Happy Tree Friends?
Yes, I have heard
very
that. I used to watch
bright, cutesy animals, overtones. It is the most gory. And it's not really like a story or anything, but it's the most gory thing in the world. But they use that world building. It's just
like a dark humor kind of thing.
Yes, very much so.
You know, like if there was like, there are these characters that are very fluffy and happy, but then somehow something horrible happens in the episode and they like have a brutal death.
Exactly. Basically. And it's hilarious. But coming from an EMT paramedic. But that they use in a sense, and I do kind of see how they portray the world as world building. Just in a more visual way than in a
expositional
way.
Saying like, this is a brutal world, you know, this is really hard. They're just saying like, you know, every year the storms come and we have to build this and that, you know, just describing, you know, the world building, whatever you put into your world, if it's a big thing, then it's going to have a big impact on your world. And so that should be evident just through the character's eyes of just, you know, walking through
the town
or whatever. Here's an example of that. So, you ever seen the movie Waterworld?
No, I have not seen okay, so real quick, it's funny that you actually bring up Waterworld though, because that has like been referenced in like 14 different things I've listened to in the past like 2 weeks. Waterworld.
Really?
I don't know why.
It's a sign.
It is a sign that I need.
Waterworld is coming for you.
That's kind of scary, actually.
So, Waterworld was a movie made in the 90s. Kevin Costner starred in it, and it was coming out around the time there was a lot of like kind of post-apocalyptic movies coming out around that time that were like, have you ever seen any of the old Mad Max movies?
Yeah.
Okay, so like Mad Max, there was Mad Max, there was The Running Man, there was like all these movies about how, just like there's this post-apocalyptic world, so culture and society have kind of collapsed, and it's just kind of a wacky, crazy, dark, like over the top, like not dark, like dark brooding, but like just dark because they're like the way they're forms of entertainment and sense of just goodness and people is just kind of gone. So Waterworld, the premise behind it, talking about like big things in your story affecting your world, is that the polar ice caps have melted and the world is completely submerged in water.
Whoa! Once again, foreshadowing Waterworld.
Exactly. How did I see that coming?
These titles are some great foreshadowing.
It's like, what should we call it? World full of water.
It's a world.
But so because, and I don't
World
even know.
of water.
So here's a weird thing about it though. It's supposedly, I think it's set in 2013. It's like made in the 90s.
That's amazing.
But somehow, in only, however many years of the Earth being submerged in water, evolution has already started to select humans that have gills and webbed feet. And there's only one in this. Kevin Costner's character is like, he looks completely normal,
but he has webbed
very
feet.
brooding hero, but then like he has this dark secret, that he has gills behind his neck. He like wears a scarf all the time to hide them or something, and then he's got.
I need to watch this movie.
He's got webbed feet, and so it's like apparently this is like a thing in the future, although it wasn't the very distant future, but in the future that people will start to adapt somehow. Adaptations will come, but so you've got the whole world's covered in water, so then all your cities are going to have to be somehow floating like whatever, tied together, lashed together, whatever things. Dirt is a
commodity.
Dirt is like a currency, because you need dirt to grow food. Besides like,
I'm gonna start tipping you in dirt, Josh.
But yeah, so like dirt, like they're literally like, throwing dirt at each other to pay for stuff.
It's amazing.
And there's the rumor, because the life in water is so hard to live by. There's this like, legend or rumor of dry land. That's a legend. That's a myth. Like nobody believes it exists.
What, dry land? It's only been 10 years.
And I don't know. I don't know. And then so that's kind of like the story of the guys. This Kevin Costner's character is trying to find dry land, and he gets swept up with this woman and this child.
Always.
I feel like there was something about the child that was like special.
He also had gills.
There was like some kind of tattoo on the child, and it meant something. I don't remember what it was, but it's a very cringy movie. But it's like
sounds like we need to have a Waterworld watching party.
We do, because yeah, it's just wild. It was. There's a lot more to be said about Waterworld, just in general as a movie, but that's just an example of like when you have kind of humorous example. When you have something big in your world, it's gonna.
Yes.
Like you don't need to be told the whole like that the city is floating, But
that brings up another thought too about world building, especially when it comes to things like you were talking about how like it takes place in like 2013 and whatever. Like for some reason this evolution has already started, even though it's been like 10 years. When you are if you go into depth with your world building, like Brandon Sanderson does, or even Wheel of Time to an extent goes pretty in depth and is going more in depth. But Tolkien, who go in depth in their world building, their history. Be cognizant of how much time you're giving. Like it's important to think about the history and how long it's been since that history is past and what has occurred since then. Because if you have something that happened 10 years ago and it's like Dark Ages, and then now 10 years later it's like you have a big city built. It's not necessarily very believable. And and to an extent, fantasy, you don't have to be like super believable, but you want it to be like you don't want things to be real. Like things don't need to be realistic, but they need to be believable.
Yeah,
I think it's a good way to put it.
They have to be consistent in their own world. Like it.
Yes.
Obviously, we don't have a high storm in our world, but if there's a high storm in this world, then if you establish that it's like this deadly thing, then you can't just have people out
in it all day long.
You can't, forget as you're developing a setting or whatever. You can't forget that there has to be some kind of explanation for how they mitigate that problem or how they deal with that problem.
Like it's just like it's just like a hard magic system versus a soft magic system. Like if you are giving yourself a hard magic system and you're giving yourself a lot of rules, you have to abide by those rules within the story. Same thing with world building. If you're going to give yourself a lot of detail in your world building, you have to abide by the rules that you've set up in your world. Those rules don't have to be realistic to our world, but if they're realistic to your world, you still need to hold to them, and your characters need to hold to them. If you have these different things. Now, that being said, there are story plots that happen that may go against the commonality of that world, but it's got to still be done in a way that's believable with the world building and with other things that affect the world. Brandon Sanderson does a good job of this with Kaladin in the High Storm and how he can survive it pretty much. But to an extent, but even then, we know that it's super dangerous even for him to go into it,
Right. And and the story.
But the story is also set up.
Everyone's reactions to it kind of foreshadow that there's something more at play here, and what happens during that scene and everything. There's another big environmental world building example is spice in Dune. So you have the world. If you're going to say that I'm going to tell the story about, I'm going to tell this story, and in this world, this sci-fi world, there's like intergalactic space travel, but there's only one. Like there's like a very precious source of a material that you have to use for it to be possible. Then the whole like world is going to turn around. It's going to rotate around that commodity, and so inevitably that's what the story kind of ends up being about. All the politics revolve around it.
Dune is a great example of using a world building, something within world building to drive the story, because the story you're right, because the whole world revolves around this spice on Dune. And because of that, everything that inevitably happens is because of and revolves around the spice on Dune. So you're using a world building device to help drive the story.
Who has it? Who wants it? You have the native culture of that world. That the world is so hot. It's such a hostile environment because it's like completely desert almost, and that's where the spice is. But just living in that environment is not easy, so they have to wear certain kinds of suits, and even it reflects in their customs. Like this, I don't know if they do this in the book, but in the movie, they are meeting the House Atreides, who's been given by the Empire given a caretaker status or whatever over the planet. They're talking to one of the natives of that planet. But to show respect, he spits on the ground in front of them because moisture is so rare. Giving the moisture from your body as a sign of respect or whatever, a good faith, is a big deal. At first, they take it as an insult, and then one of the characters kind of reacts in a way to show them that no, he's actually showing you respect right now. So environment
can play such a big part in your story in any world building, or your environment can just be your environment. It can just be the world that your characters live in. It doesn't even have to drive the story. Right. It could just be something that your characters are in. Right.
It could just be fun. Just be something that's one thing that to go back to another Brandon Sanderson example, but in Stormlight, Brandon Sanderson, he made this element more than just a than just window dressing or more than just fun, like, flavor to the writing, but it could have been just this. And that's the way the Spren behave. You have Spren are these fantastical expressions of human, like, emotion and thoughts and things like that. So when you're afraid, you might have fear Spren that show up around you. They look a certain way. And when you're injured, you might have rot Spren or pain Spren spring up. So it's just a way for him to, even in like small things, even in like the mundane kind of things of that world, to kind of put this wonder in it, to put this a mystical aspect of it into it, that, you know, you're watching the wind blow by and you're not just watching wind, you're seeing these little ribbons of light that are flitting along with the wind, because there's wind Spren, because in this world there's these representations of nature and human experience and things like that are there as well. So, you know, that's an example of something that it could just be like a way to kind of color your story in a more fun way, more fantastical way, you know? So what if we put ourselves on the spot again? It was kind of fun the last time.
It was fun the last time.
And just take a minute and just like think of, like, we could pick one thing. We could pick like one category and see if we can like just put some kind of world building element and see if we can build a little bit of something around it. Right, or like just like go into like what would be like the implications of that one thing, because that's the thing.
Right, what are we going? We gonna stick with nature, like environmental, or are we gonna go with like cultural or
either one?
History?
Any of them.
What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
Oh,
pick your poison.
Oh, me. Put me on the spot.
Well, I mean, we're gonna play off each other.
Okay, so let's say I'm not gonna steal from my own writing. What if? I don't know. Like, what if there was a world where maybe this is, I don't know if this is a good example. If you have something better, do it. But what if there was a world where life, you know, if life sprang up, you know, I don't necessarily believe in like the origin of all life being just from evolution. But yes, let's say in a story,
yes,
life emerged, however it emerged, from like a subsurface, you know, sub sandwich. like let's say like the caves of the cave, like the underground, like near the center of the earth, kind of like deep in the heart of a planet, is where life burst forth. So there's a surface, but life started under the surface or whatever. You know, how would that affect culture?
Gosh, world building is a lot harder than. Well, it's just a lot. World building is just harder than, because there's so much to world building. There's lots of magic systems. There's so much to world building that you can come from.
Did you have an idea of something?
Kind of. It's more of just a thought of
go back to it.
It's more of just a thought of like, because it goes with magic systems too a little bit, but we've already established that is part world building. But like, I've always liked the weird dichotomy between like, or story, and there's not really too many that tackle it, but like technology versus magic. And almost like a world where technology and magic are together.
They're like separate things.
But influence each other. Like...
Right, like what would happen if...
Someone's being able to use science to concoct magic or even make themselves magical. But the magic is also an inherent part of the world. As in, like, the world is in itself, like the creatures itself, let's say, are magical. You know, they have like certain things that like just would be considered magical. And then through science, the people or whoever is in it have been able to recreate that magic for themselves and even been able to embed themselves with it by using science of the world. I don't know. Just science and magic have always been such an like whenever it does kind of come up, they're always put up as a weird dichotomy. Like science is always at odds with magic. I'm almost curious to see how it would be like if they kind of worked together. Yeah. Where if someone used science to find the magic or to harness the magic and I think Arcane kind of hits on a little bit where they are using science to, that's that main driving focus of part of the story is some of the characters are using science to basically create magic. But other people are scared of it because they're scared of magic. Because magic did stuff that the people who are inherently magical did things bad in the past. This is part of their world building.
Right, yeah.
But there's these other people. One of them was saved by someone who used magic, and he spent his life wanting to harness that and be able to find it. But he's using scientific means. And so that ends up going into more, and other things are happening with it.
So here's something I thought about when I was world building and for my book. So I had the idea to have the magic, a core piece of the magic system in the world is you have these things called essence stones, and they can hold the 4 essences of nature or creation, which in this world is fire, water, earth, and wind or air. So they're naturally, for the most part, they're naturally occurring in nature. So like anywhere that there's like an extreme environment of heat, there will be fire stones that will be like inherent in the world or whatever. Same with wind, or like deep in like underground, there will be earth stones, where there's a lot of pressure and things like that. Anyway, so they'll also be found in creatures. Like there's magical creatures, not every creature. But part of the reason I did that is I was thinking, if every creature had some type of magical stone in it, like birds fly because they have wind stones in them or something like that, like maybe little wind stones or whatever, then there will have to be a piece of the world building would have to be that there's hunters that are hunting creatures for their essence stones, and it felt like that could take over the story. So I backed it down a little bit to where there are certain creatures that are the more magical creatures, not just the mundane creatures, that have some element of magic stones within them, and they may be hunted or may not be hunted, but they're more sacred in the cultures and stuff like that, which keeps them from being as heavily hunted. But so that's just an example of like, thinking through world building and how one thing affects another,
So now I'm thinking, now while you're talking, I was also thinking about going back to your idea of the people being underground. Yeah. So it's almost a great way. That's a good world building way to kind of make a cultural divide. So you have these creatures, and maybe even start off a story, or a story could start off with a world, could start off with understanding that these creatures have always lived underground. People, whatever, underground. And maybe these people are even inherently magical. Because they live underground, the magic is had to, because we know that we aren't, at least us as humans, aren't meant to live underground for the most part. There's dangers, obviously, the closer you get to the core, the all that
warmer and
all that good
magma.
Yes, magma. So you have these people who are inherently magical and inherently have this ability to withstand the pressures underground and all that. But then you have another culture that lives on the surface, whether they come from the planet or they come, I don't know,
maybe they're from another
planet. And this is where the science, you can go back to my idea of science and magic.
Oh yeah.
Where now you have a cultural divide where you have these people who are inherently magical on the ground or underground that survive, but and whether it is they have them, kind of maybe going back to with your world building, your story, where they have like these essence stones that allow them to be inherently magical inside them. And then you have these people who are on the surface who maybe came from a different planet who are purely like us, not magical, but scientific, and have built these great ships or whatever, as scientifically. But each in turn see what they don't have and want it. And that's a great way to use world building, use these different cultures and these different ways that people have been raised to cause conflict in the story. Because now you have these people who live underground who want to branch out and live outward and see these other stars. So they want to know this science, what they've done. And these people are like, oh, we see all the stars, but these people have this inherent magical ability within them.
Imagine if we could harness it.
Imagine if we can harness it somehow. And now you'd be creating this divide between the people, or a combining of the people. People who are like, let's work together.
Right.
Depending on how you want the story to go.
And then people are afraid of the others, Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be just interesting to bring like a cultural world building into it too.
Well, I just think like one thing that I think about, even though, people have built boats and sailed and everything. We weren't born under the surface of the water. So like the depths of the ocean are a thing of mystery and
terrifying is what it is.
Literally terrifying. The skies are something that aren't inherent to us. There's some things taking time to harness, and some people are terrified of flying. People would be terrified of going to the surface, People would be terrified of so people might even think this surface is evil or something like that. Only evil things come from the surface.
That's true.
I'm not saying everyone would, but there would be all sorts of different perspectives on it. Maybe you could represent it. There could be different tribes that have different opinions about it. Maybe there may be a tribe that is less worried about the surface, and they're kind of almost like viewed by some of the other tribes as unholy or something like that, tainted or whatever, and they're kind of the bridge between the surface and the people that end up landing, or the people that live on the surface, however they got there, and the world beneath, is kind of like they're like the Pocahontas of the story or whatever.
Think about it too, in a sense of
paint with all the colors of the dirt, and you paint with all the colors of the dirt.
More singing, we're killing it today. You think about Dune more like going very natural and scientific with it, like the closer you get to a planet's core, the higher the gravity is, right? I think that's how science works, right? Science works.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure gravity, yeah, because the gravity is focused from that inward.
Yeah, that would make sense, because the further you get from the planet, the weaker it is.
So these people, like, let's say we have people who really did, like, for some reason this planet isn't like ours, and it's not as like magma.
Oh, come
on. But the gravity is still the same, where there's a lot of external pressures being pushed on these people, where they have lived their entire lives being basically, their bodies becoming accustomed to being oppressed and crushed by this gravity, to now they end up finding their way maybe up towards the surface, and what that would do to their body. Because now you're having a lot different pressures. You're having a lot less pressures against you. Maybe these people are now super strong because their muscles are so used to the pressures of being underground and being near this gravity, the strong gravity pushing on them. Now when they get up on the surface, it's like they're on the moon, where they're freaking like leaping stars. But then the people who lived on the surface the entire time are like us, where they're just walking like normal. But now you have these people who, and that way you don't even, it's not even necessarily a magic system. It's just these people who just naturally, that's how it is because of the world and the place they've lived. I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gravity. It's a son of a gun.
Always pulling us down.
I don't know. I think now we need to do an episode, though, where we workshop an entire world building and magic system.
Just like from the beginning.
From the beginning. Just the entire thing. It's just we're gonna make a world.
Building worlds.
That'll be the episode. The episode's name, Building Worlds. Let us know in the comments. Well, not comments. Let us know in anything that you want to DM us on or email if you want to see that.
Yeah.
Or hear that,
Probably do it.
Make a world, make a story, make a character.
Yeah.
Character building should be our next thing that we go in on. Maybe not next week, but like in the future. We'll let that revisit world building too. There's a lot to it.
Right.
We pretty much spent the entire time talking about the environment. We didn't even go over like cultures or history.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, I had a few things written down, but
anyway,
I
think that might be a wrap.
Say yes to world building.
Say yes to it. No, we need a new one.
Build with us.
Don't let gravity destroy you.
Destroy gravity before it destroys you.
Don't destroy gravity. I think we need that.
Throw it in the fire. Actually, you couldn't have thrown the ring in the fire without gravity.
That's true.
Gravity is the hero of the story.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
Just didn't realize that. Even Tolkien didn't know that. Just out Tolkien.
Whoa. Well, with that, out Tolkien. This has been Bridge of Two Podcast.
We better go. A far, far away bridge.
You got something to say to the fans? Listen to the podcast, right, Sil?
Oh, Sil's having a little dinner.
I hope you all can hear
here.
that.
She's like, I came here to eat.
I'm hungry. Feed me.
I'm starving. They don't feed me here.
We don't.
Sorry, your water's not moving right now, Sil. I had to charge the podcast machine.
How is she supposed to drink water when it's not moving?
I know. Oh well.
Now I'm invested in her eating.
I know. I was just going.